Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. My name's Stuart, and on my tinnitus channel, I'm going to be doing some videos on other health issues that I've got. I'm fairly healthy on the whole, but I have got one or two issues, unfortunately, and there aren't many people my age, well, I'm 58, who have got zero health issues, I suppose. I certainly rather have tinnitus than prostate problems, for example. I don't fancy a 16 needle biopsy in that location. So yeah, so for my tinnitus, just briefly before I move on to talking about my dry eyes, I know I came on a little while ago and I talked about spinach and how it helped me. I've not really been on the spinach for a couple of weeks, mainly because I've not really found that my tinnitus has been too much of a problem. It's been, fairly reasonable levels, so I've habituated. Sometimes it goes higher than other times, so I'm not really doing much with it at the moment. So I've got really nothing to say about my tinnitus. I suppose I'm fortunate that it's not worse, but however, I've heard of people that have got sort of low-level tinnitus like me, or sort of, medium level, sort of 4 or 5-ish or under, who've suddenly gone to like 8 or 9. So I'm always aware that could happen, and if it does, I'll have to deal with it. But let me move on to dry eyes. I've made videos on my dry eyes in the past on my other channel, but I'm using my other channel for other things, so I'll talk about my dry eyes on this channel. So what's going on with my dry eyes? Okay, well, I've concluded a couple of things. I went to stay with my mother for Christmas recently, stayed with her for 3 days, and it struck me that when I was with her, I didn't have any dry eye problems. So I had to put my thinking cap on. What am I doing when I'm living on my own that I'm not doing when I'm living with my mum? And I realized actually that when I was with my mum, even though I took my laptop with me, I only spent maybe 1 or 2 hours a day on it while I was there, just answering emails, that type of thing. But when I'm at home and I'm working and everything and I'm doing all the other stuff I do, I've got several YouTube channels. I'm literally in front of this laptop for 8 to 10 hours a day. So I've got to make the connection that it might well be eye strain and looking at the laptop and maybe not blinking enough, etc., which has been causing my dry eye problems, or at least contributing to it. But I must say that I can't really spend less time at my laptop. I can't. I have an online business, have an eBay business, so I've got to spend sort of 4 to 5 hours a day for that, and then I do other things. I've got a YouTube channel, I make content, and that's just the way I live my life. I do spend a lot of time at the laptop, and I enjoy it as well. So I've got to somehow, cope with that and the fact that I'm going to have dry eyes. So what have I been doing about my dry eyes? I've been on the path before about omega-3. I'd read that omega-3 is good for dry eyes. And I found that I started eating smoked mackerel, which is very high in omega-3. Not tinned, mind. Don't waste your time on tinned fish because they cook it to such a high temperature. Basically, it denatures the omega-3 and renders it useless. So all the labels on the outside of these tins of fish that you see, high in omega-3, forget it. It's worthless. I've read up on this. There is some disagreement, but I've found no use at all from eating tinned fish for my dry eyes. But I have found a lot of use from eating smoked mackerel, because hot smoked mackerel, it's not taken to such a high extreme temperature. I'm not sure what temp it's taken to, maybe about sort of 150, 160, but tinned fish, to kill all the bacteria, it's heated to well over 200 degrees C, and I'm afraid it just destroys the omega-3. You might disagree with that, and you're free to go on eating tinned fish, that's up to you, but I personally think it's useless. So smoked mackerel, however, I found that even with smoked mackerel, my eyes were getting dry again. And just recently, I decided to try salmon. First I tried hot smoked salmon, eating half a piece a day with an egg on toast, and actually very nice actually. Very nice way to have lunch. And I found that my dry eyes were improving with smoked mackerel. And then I went one better, because hot smoked mackerel, they're still taking it to say 150, 160 C, I believe. So the supermarket where I went, they knocked down 2 fillets of fresh salmon, half price. So I decided to go for that. What I did was I baked them at 120 degrees C, right, for an hour. Because obviously, if you bake fish at 120 degrees C, you will cook it all the way through. And if you do it for an hour, you know, it will. I found that it came out very acceptable. It was cooked all the way through, and I had the satisfaction of knowing that the omega-3 that was in that salmon was actually in pretty good, was actually in wholesome condition, because it had been cooked at a relatively low temperature. I didn't steam it, I didn't boil it, because in my opinion, steaming and boiling, it's taking in water, the water's dripping out, or if you're boiling it, all the goodness is going out into the water. Or with steaming, I mean, it's in a way it's the same as boiling it, because the steam is hitting it and it's dripping down, it's taking omega-3 out of the salmon. It's no good. So my opinion is you bake it, put it in some foil, wrap it up a little bit, and leave it in there. All the goodness, all the omega-3 will stay in the salmon. So I had 1 fillet per day, and it was amazing. My dry eyes are just, even at home with all the watching the PC and everything, my dry eyes were absolutely fine. I mean, no dry eyes, I had no problems whatsoever. But I found that when I eased off the salmon, when I stopped eating it for a couple of days, started having issues again. So I really recommend that you try that. If you can eat 1 whole fillet a day, good. If not, I'm on half a fillet a day, and it seems to be doing me okay. I've stopped with the mackerel. So I also bought this Visu XL eye drops. I read on Amazon, people were raving about this, saying that it's fantastic, and this seems to be a really good eye drops, Visu XL. I think the ingredient in here which is doing the work is acid hyaluronic. I looked that up, and they say that the body produces it naturally, but also it can be used for hydrating the cornea. I think that's a magic ingredient in there. I haven't used it yet. It's for emergencies if I really need to use it. So I haven't used it yet. I prefer not to use eye drops, because once you start getting dependent on eye drops, then I want my eyes to make tears for my eyes, I don't want to have to take eye drops. So by the way, on the days when I was not eating the salmon, once I went out one day and the wind was hitting my face and my left eye started stinging. I literally had to turn around and come back home, because I was walking around with one eye closed. It's no good. So yeah, I have got a problem with it, but at the moment, touch wood, that salmon, bake it at 120 degrees C and see what happens. Hopefully it will work for you as it's worked for me. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again with another video soon. Bye.